Tonight, lift your head and look at the sky, at that thing, or should I say whom, that illuminates everywhere with its white light. Have you ever wondered who is watching you from the deepest parts of space? I'm going to tell you a very old story, the story of Grandfather Moon, the story of a spirit older than time itself. Now lean back, straight back, and let yourself go. Take a deep breath, because we're going on a long journey. Wolvian tells you the main characters of ancient Turkish mythology, and their stories every night in one long breath, all at once. If you want more of these stories to come, don't hesitate to support us. Thank you so much for your interest in Turkish mythology. Right where you're listening to us from tonight. Let's meet in the comments. So now, let's begin. Imagine, not now, but long, long ago. We're in a time when the world didn't even have a name yet, when humans hadn't yet solved the secret of fire, when the steppes stretched on forever. Back then, the sky was closer than it is today, more alive, more aware. In the endless steppes of Central Asia, among the nomadic tents, you could hear those ancient whispers carried by the wind, Tengri's breath, Mother Earth's embrace, and at night, that silver light. Grandfather Moon's gaze. The steppe, you know, burns like gold during the day. The sun is merciless. The earth cracks. The grass withers. Everything trembles with thirst. But when night comes, when night comes, everything changes. The heat retreats, giving way to a cool breeze. Stars, millions of them, countless stars open in the sky, as if someone scattered diamonds into the darkness. And then, slowly, very slowly, Grandfather Moon rises from the horizon. They called him Ay Dede, Grandfather Moon, Old Moon. His name was as old as he was. No one remembered who first gave him this name. Maybe the first human. Maybe Tengri himself. Maybe Grandfather Moon gave himself this name. No one knew. The ancient Turks, you know, didn't build temples. They didn't erect marble columns like Greek temples. How do you imprison the sky within stone? How do you hide infinity between four walls? For them, the temple was the steppe itself. The sky was their ceiling. The stars were their candles. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon was the guardian of the night. Now, let's pause here for a moment. Are your eyes getting heavy? Good. Let them grow heavy. As your body sinks into the blanket, as your breathing slows, imagine that you too are on that step. You're inside a felt tent. Outside, the wind is gently howling. There's a small hole at the top of the tent for the smoke to escape. And through that hole, from above, a silver light is seeping through. Grandfather Moon is watching you. Do you feel peaceful? Good, because that's Grandfather Moon's job, to protect, to watch, to give peace. But who is this Grandfather Moon? Where did he come from? How did he become the guardian of the sky? To understand this, we must go back to the beginning. The very beginning. To creation. Grandfather Moon, we said. Ay Ata. In Old Turkish, Ata means father, grandfather. An expression of respect, an expression of love. It means protector. He wasn't just a light. He wasn't just a sphere rotating in the sky. He was a spirit, an ancient spirit, perhaps one of the first spirits Tengri created. According to some accounts, when Tengri began creating the world, he first created light. He created the sun, so there would be day. But then he realized that constant light is exhausting. It burns the eyes. It consumes the spirit. Everything needs to rest. Needs darkness. But complete darkness won't do either. because in complete darkness people get lost. They fear. They lose their way. That's when Tengri created Grandfather Moon. "You," said Tengri in a deep and gentle voice, "will be the guardian of the night. You won't burn like the sun. You won't scorch like the sun. You will console. You'll guide the way. When people look at you, they'll find peace." And Grandfather Moon accepted. Silently, humbly accepted. Because Grandfather Moon, was modest. Not showy like the sun. The sun rises every morning shouting, "Here I am." The whole world sees the sun, feels it, knows it. But Grandfather Moon comes silently, rises from the horizon at a moment no one notices, spreads his silver light slowly, gently, doesn't force, doesn't shout. Grandfather Moon doesn't say, "I'm here." He says, "I'm here if you need me." Do you see the difference? Now, imagine Grandfather Moon's appearance. According to ancient Turkish shamans, if you see Grandfather Moon in your dreams, you see an old, very old man, hair white as silver, a long beard reaching down to his chest. His eyes, his eyes. His eyes are so deep that when you look into them, you feel like you're looking into time itself. Does he smile? Yes, sometimes, but a quiet smile. Not sad, but a smile that knows sadness. Because Grandfather Moon has seen much. Many people have come, many have gone. Empires have risen, fallen. Loves have begun, ended. Children have been born, aged, died. Grandfather Moon has seen it all, hasn't forgotten any of it. His clothes? White, silver white, as if he wears a caftan woven from light. When he moves, his hems flutter slightly but make no sound. His feet don't touch the ground. Because Grandfather Moon now dwells in the sky. He doesn't belong to the earth, he belongs to the sky. But he hasn't forgotten the earth, hasn't forgotten the people. And every night he boards his silver chariot. Yes, a chariot. Grandfather Moon has a chariot, the old tales say. A silver chariot, not pulled by horses, but by deer. 3 white deer. Their antlers shine like crystal in the darkness. And Grandfather Moon, every night, slowly, without hurry, sets out on his journey across the sky. Some nights he's brighter. Full moon nights. Those nights, Grandfather Moon's chariot stops right in the middle of the sky, and his light reaches everywhere, to the tops of mountains, to the bottoms of valleys, to the middle of the sea, to the depths of the forest. No place remains in darkness on the full moon, but some nights, Grandfather Moon looks tired, like a thin crescent, as if just a spoon remains in the sky. Those nights, Grandfather Moon is resting, they say, gathering his strength, because he's a living being after all. He gets tired too. And some nights, he doesn't appear at all. Those nights are called lunar eclipse today. But the ancients knew the truth. Those nights, Grandfather Moon would visit Mother Earth, would meet with the soil, to refresh his memories, to remember the past. Because Grandfather Moon used to live on the earth. Was he human? Was he a god? Was he a spirit? No one knows for certain. But there's a story, a very old story. It goes like this. Origin story, 15-30 minutes. Long, long ago when the world was younger, Grandfather Moon was a human, an ordinary human. His name was different back then. No one remembers his name anymore. The dust of time has covered his name. He lived in a nomadic tribe, in the endless steppes of Central Asia. They would migrate from tent to tent, from pasture to pasture. They had sheep, horses, camels. It was a simple life, but it was hard too. This man, they say, was very curious. different from the others. While others thought about horses, arrows, swords, he thought about the sky. When night came, while everyone was sleeping, he would go outside. He would lie on his back on the cold ground, and for hours until morning he would watch the stars. "What are you doing?" his brother would ask him. "I'm watching," he would say. "Watching what?" "The sky." "Why?" "Because the sky is moving. Do you see? The stars are rotating. The moon is changing. Every night is different, but at the same time, the same. There's an order. There's a rhythm. I want to understand it." His brother would laugh. "You're talking nonsense. Go to sleep." But the man wouldn't sleep. He would continue watching. Months passed. Years passed. The man grew old. His hair turned white, but his curiosity never ended. And one night, on a full moon night, something happened. The moon was so bright that it illuminated the steppe as if it were daytime. The man was outside again, watching the stars again. But this time, he heard a voice, a deep voice, like thunder, but not angry, calm, gentle. It was Tengri's voice. "You," the voice said, "have been watching the sky for many years." The man wasn't startled, wasn't afraid, as if he'd been expecting this. "Yes," he said quietly. "Why?" "Because it's beautiful, because it's orderly, because I want to understand." "Do you understand?" the man thought for a long time. Then he said this, "No, I don't understand." But this didn't stop me. Every night I learn a little more. Every night I see a little more. Maybe one day I'll understand. There was silence, a long silence. Even the wind fell silent. Then Tengri spoke again. "I will reward you. You've shown patience. You were curious. You respected the sky, and I will give you the sky. You won't just watch anymore. You'll be part of it." "What? What do you mean?" "Tomorrow night, when you lie down in your bed, when you close your eyes, you won't open them again. But you won't die. You'll transform. You'll ascend to the sky. You'll become the moon. And forever, every night, you'll journey through the sky. You'll protect people. You'll give them light. You'll measure time. You'll govern the cycles." The man's heart quickened. Was he afraid? Maybe a little, but at the same time, he was excited. "But what about my family, my tribe?" "You'll see them every night, but they won't see you. They'll only see your light. You'll be sad, but this is your duty. Do you accept?" The man thought again, thought deeply. He thought of his family. He thought of his children, his grandchildren. But then he thought of the sky, that infinite, that mysterious, that magnificent sky. "I accept," he said. And the next night, the man lay down in his bed, closed his eyes. His breath slowed, stopped. His tribe mourned. They cried. They buried him. But that night, something changed in the sky. The moon began to appear brighter, closer, more alive. And if you look very carefully on the full moon, in the shadows on the moon's surface, you can see the silhouette of an old man, sitting, looking at the sky, still watching, still learning. Grandfather Moon was born. Now let's pause for a bit. Let's breathe. Is your body comfortable? Is your pillow soft? Good. Are your eyelids heavy? Let them be. Don't struggle. Grandfather Moon didn't struggle either. He let himself go with the flow. You let go too. The story will continue. Grandfather Moon's story isn't finished yet. There's much more to tell, but there's no hurry. Never any hurry. Breathe in, out, in, out. Let's continue. Slowly. Grandfather Moon's duties and power. Grandfather Moon was now part of the sky. But this wasn't just a transformation. This was a duty, a responsibility. What had Tengri said to him? You'll measure time. You'll govern the cycles. So what did this mean? Imagine, back then people had no clock, no calendar. How would they know the days? How would they count the months? How would they track the seasons? There was the sun, of course. The sun showed the day. It rises, it sets. One day, easy. But months, years, seasons, this was Grandfather Moon's duty. His cycle, you know, is approximately 29.5 days. From new moon to full moon, from full moon to new moon. This is a cycle, a month. The ancient Turks would follow this cycle. How many times has the moon become full? How many times has it faded? That means that many months have passed. When 12 months pass, 1 year has passed. It was simple, but it worked. Grandfather Moon didn't just give light, he was the calendar, the clock, the compass. When nomads set out on journeys, they would look at Grandfather Moon. Which direction are they going? Where's the moon? After the sun sets, does the moon rise from the east or west? This information would help them find direction. When hunters went out hunting, they would look at Grandfather Moon. Is it a full moon? Then they can hunt at night, because it's bright. Is it a dark night? Then they need to wait for morning. Farmers. Ah, yes. Even though the Turks were nomadic, over time some settled into sedentary life, you know. They planted seeds. Farmers would also look at Grandfather Moon. When to plant? On the full moon or new moon? The elders knew. Plant on the new moon. Harvest on the full moon. Why? No one knew for certain. But it worked. This was Grandfather Moon's power. He affected the earth. He affected the waters. He affected the plants, the tides. The seas moved because of Grandfather Moon. They would recede. They would swell. Grandfather Moon would pull the waters. His power was that great. But this wasn't just a physical power. It was also a spiritual power. Shamans, you know, loved Grandfather Moon very much. Because Grandfather Moon was connected to the spirit world. Night was the time of spirits. Day was the time of people, animals, the living world. But night? At night, spirits would awaken. They would emerge from underground. They would descend from the sky. They would wander in the forests. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon was their guardian. There would be evil spirits, treacherous ones, dark spirits. They would want to harm people, but they would fear Grandfather Moon's light. Grandfather Moon's light would keep them away. That's why the ancient Turks would hang silver coins outside their tents, to honor Grandfather Moon. And silver is Grandfather Moon's metal, you know. Grandfather Moon shines like silver. Silver had protective powers. If you wore a silver necklace, evil spirits couldn't harm you. If you used a silver sword, you could kill evil beings. Everything was Grandfather Moon's power. So, how did Grandfather Moon use this power? Gently, humbly. He never abused his power. The sun sometimes went to extremes. Sometimes it beat down too hot. There would be drought. But Grandfather Moon never went to extremes. Always balanced, always measured, always dignified. Some nights he would shine a bit brighter. Some nights he would fade a bit more. But this was natural. This was his cycle. Not by force, but naturally. People would try to be like him, too. To be balanced, to be patient, to be unhurried. Be like Grandfather Moon, the elders would tell the young. Don't rush, don't shout. Be quiet, gentle, but determined. You have power, but there's no need for show. This was a life philosophy. Grandfather Moon and other celestial beings. Of course, Grandfather Moon wasn't alone in the sky. There was Tengri above everything, eternal Sky Tengri, all-seeing, all-knowing. There was Mother Sun. Yes, the sun was female in ancient Turkish mythology. Fire Mother, Sun Mother, Day Mother. Different names were given to her. She was hot. She was powerful. She was alive. There were stars, countless stars. They believed every star had a soul. The souls of dead people would ascend to the sky, become stars. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon was among them all. So what were their relationships like? Mother Sun and Grandfather Moon. Were they siblings? Were they spouses? Were they rivals? Different stories say different things. According to some stories, they were siblings, Tengri's children. Sun was the big sister, Moon was the little brother. Sun was more powerful, brighter, more showy. But Moon was wiser, calmer, more compassionate. During the day, Mother Sun ruled the sky. She illuminated everything, but it could get exhausting, too much sometimes. When night came, Mother Sun would grow tired. "Now it's your turn," she would say to Grandfather Moon. "I'm going to rest. You take over the sky." And Grandfather Moon would accept, with big brother responsibility. "Don't worry, I'm here. You rest." They never fought, never competed, because both had their place, both had their time. Without the sun, the world would freeze. Plants wouldn't grow. Animals wouldn't live. But without the moon, people would be lost. They wouldn't know time. They wouldn't find their way at night. Spirits would be unprotected. Both were necessary. According to other stories, Mother Sun and Grandfather Moon were in love. But they couldn't unite, because Tengri had willed it so. "You," Tengri had said, "will never come together, because if you unite, the world will be destroyed. There will be too much power. The balance will be broken." And so, Mother Sun during the day, Grandfather Moon at night. They always long for each other, but never meet. Only once, very rarely. In a lunar or solar eclipse, they come close to each other. For a moment they meet, but then they separate again. A sad story, isn't it? But perhaps a beautiful story. Because longing keeps love alive. Longing makes you wait. Longing gives hope. Every night when Grandfather Moon ascends to the sky, he feels the warmth Mother Sun left behind. "She was here," he thinks. "She was here just a moment ago. I can still smell her scent." And every morning when Mother Sun rises, she sees the traces of Grandfather Moon's light. "He was here at night," she says. "He waited for me. Now he's resting." And so it continues, day by day, month by month, year by year. The stars watch them all, silently from their places, their family too, the sky family. Sometimes a star would fall. It would draw a sudden line across the sky. Someone died, people would say. A soul left the sky. Or a wish was made. Would Grandfather Moon be sad when a star fell? Perhaps. But this was nature's law. Everything had a beginning, an end. Birth, life, death, the cycle. Grandfather Moon knew this, accepted it, because he was time itself. Time and cycles. Think about time. What is time? Today we look at our watches. We look at our phones. Minutes, seconds, hours. Everything is measured. Everything is precise. But back then, time was different. Time was measured by visible things. Has the sun risen? Morning has come. Is the sun at its peak? Noon has come. Has the sun set? Evening has come. Has the moon become full? A month has passed. Has the moon renewed? A new month has begun. But this wasn't just measurement. This was blessing, celebration. When the new moon came, the Turks would have a festival. They would organize a small ceremony. They would light a fire in front of the felt tent. They would sacrifice an animal. They would cook food. They would all eat and drink together. And the shaman would pray in gratitude to Grandfather Moon. "Grandfather Moon," he would say, raising his arms to the sky, "you've returned to us again. You're giving us light again. We greet you. We're grateful to you." Then everyone would look at the moon silently, that thin crescent, that gentle beginning, and they would know. In 29 days it will be full moon. Then it will fade again. Then it will renew again. The cycle doesn't end. The cycle continues. This would give them confidence, give them peace, because life was uncertain. There would be wars. There would be diseases. There would be famine. People would die. Suffering would be experienced. But Grandfather Moon was always there, always returning, always renewing. If Grandfather Moon can renew every month, they would say, we can renew too. If Grandfather Moon can return every month, we can return too. There's hope. There's always hope. This wasn't just a belief. This was a way of life. Cycles. Seasons were also cycles. Spring would come. Snow would melt. Flowers would bloom. Sheep would lamb. New life. Summer would come. It would be hot. Grasses would grow. Food would be found for animals. Abundance. Autumn would come. Harvest would be done. Winter preparations would begin. Thanksgiving. Winter would come. It would be cold. Snow would fall. Life would slow down. Rest. Then spring again. Cycle. Grandfather Moon governed these cycles, because seasons were measured by the passing of months. How many full moons since winter? 3 full moons? That means spring is near. That's how they knew. Grandfather Moon was the calendar. Grandfather Moon was hope. Grandfather Moon was the cycle itself. And now, think about this. You, too, are in a cycle. The daily cycle. You wake up, you live, you get tired, you sleep, you wake up. Every day. Cycle. Grandfather Moon is watching you. Every night. When you're sleeping, he's awake. When you wake up, he's resting. But always there. Always in the sky. Isn't that comforting? Someone is watching you, protecting you, not forgetting you. Are your eyes getting heavy? Good. This is normal. This is natural. Your cycle continues too. Transition from wakefulness to sleep, from consciousness to unconsciousness, from day to night. Grandfather Moon is waiting. Perhaps you'll see him in your dreams. A silver light, a soft smile. Let yourself go. Surrender to the cycle. Let's continue. The story isn't finished yet. Grandfather Moon and Shamans. We talked about shamans a bit, but let's look deeper. Shamans, were the spiritual leaders of Turkish tribes. They were called Kam, or Baksa, or just shaman. Could be a woman, could be a man. Didn't matter. What mattered was being able to talk to spirits, to see the unseen, to know the unknown. Becoming a shaman wasn't easy. It required innate talent. You had to be chosen by the spirits. How would you know a person would become a shaman? As a child, they would be different. They would get sick often. Fevers, tremors, dreams, terrible dreams. They would see spirits, hear them. This child is sick, the family would say. But the old shaman would know. No, this child is chosen. The spirits are calling them. And when the child grew up, the old shaman would teach them how to play the drum, which herbs to use, which prayers to say. But the most important thing, they would teach entering the trance state. The trance state, is when the shaman journeys to the spirit realm. The body stays here, But the soul leaves, ascends to the sky, descends underground, talks to spirits. This is where Grandfather Moon would come in, because night was when the door to the spirit realm was most open. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon was the guardian of that door. The shaman would begin the ceremony at night, would light a fire, would start playing their drum. Fast, fast, fast. A monotonous rhythm. Boom, 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 boom. People would sit around, would watch silently. The shaman would dance, would spin, would play the drum, would sing, would make strange sounds. Their eyes would roll back, and in a moment would stop. Their whole body would tense up, would fall to the ground. That's the moment. Trance state. The soul had left the body, and the shaman's soul would rise to the sky, would rise in the darkness, and before them they would see Grandfather Moon. "Welcome," Grandfather Moon would say. "We're honored, Grandfather Moon," the shaman would say. "What are you seeking tonight?" the shaman would explain. Maybe someone was sick. They needed to talk to spirits for healing. Maybe they were trying to learn the tribe's future. Maybe they were looking for a lost child. Grandfather Moon would listen, then would guide. "Go that way. Look for that spirit. Say this." Or sometimes, "Be careful. That spirit is dangerous. Go back." Because Grandfather Moon knew, saw everything, knew the map of the spirit realm, and the shaman, with Grandfather Moon's guidance, would complete their task, then would return to their body, would open their eyes, would sit up slowly, drenched in sweat, tired. "What did you see?" people would ask. "I saw Grandfather Moon," the shaman would say. "He guided me." And people would bow their heads respectfully, because talking to Grandfather Moon was a great privilege. That's why shamans showed special respect to Grandfather Moon. They would always perform their ceremonies on the full moon, because on the full moon, Grandfather Moon's power was highest. And on their drums. On the skin of their drums, they would attach silver ornaments to honor Grandfather Moon. "Grandfather Moon," they would say in their prayers, "you are the master of the night. You are the guardian of spirits. We take refuge in you. Protect us. Guide us." And Grandfather Moon would answer, silently, with his light. It would be a clear night, or a gentle breeze would blow. These were signs showing Grandfather Moon was there. Grandfather Moon's stories now. Now, let me tell you some stories. Stories told about Grandfather Moon. Old tales, passed mouth to mouth, generation to generation. Story 1. The Lost Child Once Upon a Time, in ancient times. In a nomadic tribe lived a little girl. Her name was Alton, because her hair was golden yellow. This was a rare thing because most Turks had black hair. But this girl had golden hair. One day the tribe was migrating. Horses, sheep, people. Everyone was walking. On the steppe they walked for kilometers. Alton was a curious child. She saw a butterfly, a red butterfly. She ran after it. "I'll return soon," she thought. But the butterfly moved away. Alton followed. Went. Then the butterfly disappeared. Alton stopped, looked around. No one. The tribe had long moved away. Alton was lost, alone, on the steppe. She was scared, of course, started crying. "Mother! Father!" she shouted. But no one heard. The day ended. It got dark. It got cold. Alton huddled at the base of a rock, shivering, crying. "Will I die?" she thought. Then she looked at the sky. The moon was rising, slowly, a silver light. Grandfather Moon. Alton looked at the moon. "Grandfather Moon," she whispered, "please help me. I'm lost. Where's my family?" Grandfather Moon didn't answer, but his light His light became brighter, as if he had heard, and Alton noticed. The moon's light was falling in one direction, a specific direction, like a sign. "Should I go there?" asked Alton. The moon's light trembled, as if saying, "Yes." Alton got up, started walking, trembling, followed the moon's light, walked all night, got tired. But Grandfather Moon didn't cut his light, always guided. Morning came, the sun rose, and in the distance, Alton saw tents. Her family, she ran. "Mother, Father," she shouted. Her family turned. "Alton, thank God." They hugged, they cried. "How did you find us?" her father asked. "Grandfather Moon," said Alton. "Grandfather Moon guided me." And everyone looked at the sky. The moon was no longer visible because it was daytime. But everyone knew. Grandfather Moon had protected Alton. From that day on, Alton prayed to the moon every night. "Thank you, Grandfather Moon. You saved me." And Grandfather Moon, from afar, smiled silently. Story 2. Illness and Healing. Another story. In a tribe there was an old man. His name was Bozkurt. He was a strong man, a warrior. But he had grown old now, and he had caught an illness. He had a fever. He was coughing. He had grown weak. He couldn't get up from his bed. The shaman came, looked. "Bad," he said. "The spirits are taking him." His family cried. "What can we do?" "We must perform a ceremony," said the shaman, "but only on the full moon. We need Grandfather Moon's power." They waited. Days passed. Bozkurt grew weaker, was having trouble breathing. Finally, the full moon came. The shaman started the ceremony, lit a fire, played the drum, entered the trance state. His soul left, rose to the sky, saw Grandfather Moon. "Grandfather Moon," said the shaman, "Bozkurt is dying. Can you save him?" Grandfather Moon thought for a long time. "His time has come," he finally said. "He's aged. His body is tired." "But," said the shaman. "But," said Grandfather Moon, "if you truly want, I can give him a bit more time. But in return, I want something." "What?" "If Bozkurt recovers, let him spend his remaining life helping others. Let him share his wisdom. Let him teach the young. Let him think of his tribe, not himself." "Accepted," said the shaman. Grandfather Moon extended his hand, emanated a silver light, and the shaman took that light, returned, entered his body, opened his eyes, got up, went to Bozkurt's side, put his hand on Bozkurt's forehead, and that silver light passed to Bozkurt. Bozkurt's fever dropped. His breathing normalized. He opened his eyes. "I'm alive," he whispered. "Yes," said the shaman. "Grandfather Moon gave you another chance, but you have a duty." And the shaman told Grandfather Moon's words. Bozkurt understood, accepted. Years passed. Bozkurt fully recovered. But he never went to war again. Instead, he taught the young. Battle techniques, hunting techniques, survival methods, shared his wisdom, and every full moon he would go outside. Look at the moon. "Thank you, Grandfather Moon," he would say. "I'm using the time you gave me well." Grandfather Moon said nothing, but his light was warm, as if approving. Story 3. Lovers and Promise. There's also a love story, because Grandfather Moon also protected love. There were two young people, a girl, a boy. The girl's name was Gökçe. The boy's name was Kara. They were in love with each other, but their families were enemies, two different tribes. They had been competing for years. Gökçe and Kara would meet secretly, at night. They would secretly leave their tents, meet on the steppe. And when they met, they would look at the moon. "Grandfather Moon," they would say, "you see everything. You are our witness. we love each other. Even if our families object, we won't give up on each other. Grandfather Moon would listen, silently, would pour his light over them. One night, Kara said, "Let's run away. Let's go far from these tribes. Let's build our own life." Gökçe was scared. "But how? Where?" "Trust me," said Kara. "Grandfather Moon will guide us." And they decided they would escape on a full moon night. The night came, full moon. Grandfather Moon in the middle of the sky, at his brightest. Gökçe and Kara left their tents, met, got on their horses, and fled. In the morning their families noticed, got angry, went after them. But Gökçe and Kara followed the moon's light. Since they traveled at night, Grandfather Moon guided them. During the day they hid. At night they traveled. Days passed. Their families couldn't find them. Finally, in a distant place, at the foot of mountains, they settled. Set up a small tent. Were happy, and every night they would go outside together and look at the moon. "Thank you, Grandfather Moon," they would say. "You guided us. You protected us." Years later, the two tribes made peace, and they heard the story of Gökçe and Kara. Grandfather Moon protected them, they said. So this love was real. So we were wrong. And that story was told from generation to generation. If there's true love, Grandfather Moon protects it. I've told you 3 stories, but there are more stories. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Every tribe has its own Grandfather Moon story, every family, every person. Because Grandfather Moon is part of everyone's story. While you're sleeping, he's in your dreams. While you're awake, he's in the sky, waiting. Now, let's take a break. Let's breathe. Has your body relaxed? Has your mind calmed? Good. Grandfather Moon is waiting. The story will continue. But there's no hurry. Never any hurry. Come on, let's continue. Slowly. Grandfather Moon and animals. Grandfather Moon didn't only care about humans, he cared about animals too. Because in Turkish mythology, animals were sacred, especially the wolf. The wolf was the Turks' totem. Bozkurt, the gray wolf with sky-blue eyes. But other animals were important too. Horse, eagle, deer, sheep. They were all Tengri's creations. They all deserved respect. And at night, animals would also see Grandfather Moon's light. Wolves, you know, hunted at night. In packs. They had long howls. Oh, they would howl. Especially on the full moon. Why would they howl? The ancient Turks knew. They were talking to Grandfather Moon, offering their respects. "Grandfather Moon," they would say with their howls, "we're going to hunt tonight. Help us. Give us light." And Grandfather Moon would give. Thanks to his light, wolves could see their prey, could set traps, would be successful. Wolves would be grateful to Grandfather Moon. That's why they would howl especially much on every full moon. Owls were also birds of the night, big, sharp eyes. They would fly silently, would hunt mice, rabbits. But owls had another characteristic too. They could see the future. How? They would hear Grandfather Moon's whispers, because Grandfather Moon knew time, knew the past, knew the future. And sometimes he would give clues to his beloved animals. An owl would hoot at night. Hoo, hoo. When the ancient Turks heard this, they would know. Something will happen. The owl is warning. Maybe a storm was coming. Maybe danger was approaching. Maybe there would be a death. The owl was Grandfather Moon's messenger. Horses. Ah, horses. The horse was the Turks' favorite animal, their friends, their companions. Horses would also greet the moon joyfully. especially white horses. The white horse was considered sacred because Grandfather Moon's color was white, silver white. If a tribe had a white horse, they would be considered very lucky. Grandfather Moon has sent us a gift, they would say, and they wouldn't take that horse to war, wouldn't sacrifice it, would look at it with respect. Only the shaman would ride that horse, or the tribe chief, on very special occasions, and the white horse would seem to understand, would be proud, dignified, not like other horses. At night, the white horse would stand in front of the tent, look at the moon, for hours, as if talking silently with Grandfather Moon. Don't disturb him while he's talking to the moon, people would say. Deer, white deer. They were also sacred. 3 white deer would pull Grandfather Moon's chariot, remember? If a person saw a white deer in the forest, they were very lucky, and they should never hunt it, because it was Grandfather Moon's servant. If an archer unknowingly shot an arrow at a white deer, the arrow wouldn't find its target. The wind would deflect it, or the arrow would break. Grandfather Moon protected white deer, and stories would be told. There was a man who hunted a white deer. That night, Grandfather Moon entered his dream. "Why?" he asked. "Why did you kill my deer?" The man apologized, but it was too late. A month later, that man got sick, died. People knew these stories, and they would show respect to white animals, because white animals were Grandfather Moon's representatives. Grandfather Moon and women. The moon had another connection. With women. The moon's cycle, is 29.5 days. And women's menstrual cycle is also about the same duration. Was this a coincidence? The ancient Turks didn't think so. Grandfather Moon controls women, they would say. He governs their cycle. This wasn't a bad thing. On the contrary, it was sacred. Women would pray especially to Grandfather Moon, especially pregnant women. Pregnancy was also a cycle, 9 months, that is, approximately 9 full moons. Pregnant women on every full moon would go outside, look at the moon. Grandfather Moon, they would say, placing their hands on their bellies. Protect my baby. Let it be healthy, let it be strong. And Grandfather Moon would protect, because he was the guardian of life's cycle. Birth was also part of that cycle. During birth, prayers would also be made to Grandfather Moon. If the birth was difficult, the shaman would be called. The shaman would come, burn incense, would pray. Grandfather Moon, help this woman. Ease her pain. Bring the baby safely. And if it was a full moon night, the birth would be easier, because Grandfather Moon's power was highest then. Newborn babies would also be presented to Grandfather Moon. A ceremony like this would be performed. After the baby was born, within a week, close to the full moon, one night, the shaman would take the baby, would go outside the tent, would lift it toward the moon. Grandfather Moon, they would say, I present you with a new life. This baby is under your protection. Watch over it. Protect it. Then they would apply silver water to the baby's forehead. Silver was Grandfather Moon's metal, remember? And that baby would be under Grandfather Moon's protection for life. This wasn't just for girls, it was done for boys too. But girls were believed to have a special connection with Grandfather Moon. Girls are daughters of the moon, they would say. Boys are sons of the sun. This wasn't gender discrimination, just nature's balance. Men were more like the sun, hot, active, energetic. Women were more like the moon, calm, cyclical, mysterious. Both were necessary. Both were sacred. Old women especially showed great respect to Grandfather Moon because they no longer menstruated. Grandfather Moon has set us free, they would say. We're no longer bound to the cycle. We can share our wisdom. And old women would become the tribe's advisors, would teach the young, would heal the sick, would help deliver babies. All of this was Grandfather Moon's grace. Grandfather Moon and death. Now, let's come to a heavier topic. Death. Death was inevitable. Every person died. Every animal died. Even gods. According to some myths, gods died too. But death wasn't the end. In Turkish mythology, death was a transition, a transformation. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon also played a role in death. When a person died, their soul would leave the body. But it wouldn't disappear immediately. Would wander around a bit, to say goodbye to loved ones, to see the places they lived one last time. This period would last about a week. The soul hasn't yet accepted death, they would say. It needs a bit of time. And during this period, the family would light candles at night, burn incense, pray. Grandfather Moon, they would say, protect our loved one's soul. Don't leave it alone in the darkness. Guide it. And Grandfather Moon would guide. When the seventh day came, a big ceremony would be performed. The funeral ceremony. Turks would bury corpses, sometimes cremated, but mostly buried. The burial place would be carefully chosen, a high hill, or under a sacred tree, or next to ancestors, and the burial wouldn't be done at night. Why? Because night was the time of spirits. There could be confusion. The corpse would be buried during the day. But prayer would be done at night. The shaman would come to the grave. When the moon rose, the ceremony would begin. Grandfather Moon, the shaman would say, raising their arms to the sky, this soul is entrusted to you. Take it. Raise it to the sky. Make it a star. Let it shine forever. And they believed that if the prayer was done well, the soul would ascend to the sky, would become a star. That's why, at night, people would look at the stars. Look, they would say, that bright star. That's our grandfather. He's watching us. Or, that star fell. Someone was born. A new soul came. Stars were the souls of the dead. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon was their shepherd, would gather them, would look after them, would keep them together in the sky. This wasn't frightening. This was comforting. We don't die, the Turks would say. We just transform. We just ascend. Grandfather Moon is waiting for us. There's nothing to fear. Death, therefore, wasn't a terrifying thing. It was a natural thing, part of the cycle. Birth, life, death, rebirth, all like Grandfather Moon's cycle. Waning, waxing, waning again. Nothing stayed the same forever. Everything changed, but everything also continued. We talked about death. Maybe it was heavy, but it's important to understand, because Grandfather Moon is the god not just of life, but of death too. Beginning and end. Both are his. But don't be afraid. Grandfather Moon is gentle. Grandfather Moon is loving. He's waiting for you, when you're ready. But not now. Now you're here, in your warm bed. You're safe. Grandfather Moon is in the sky, watching you, smiling. Sleep. Sleep peacefully. There's nothing to fear. Come on, let's continue. Grandfather Moon and seasons. We talked about seasons a bit, but let's look deeper, because Grandfather Moon also played a role in the changing of seasons. When winter came, the moon would look colder, more distant, paler. Grandfather Moon is tired, people would say. Bringing winter tires him. Winter was hard, cold, dark, food decreased, Animals grew thin, people got sick, but Grandfather Moon was always there. On winter nights, especially the long nights, the moon would be visible more, because the nights were longer. Grandfather Moon isn't leaving us alone, they would say. Winter is hard, but he's with us. And on winter nights, people would gather in their tents, sit by the fire, would tell stories, would sing songs, and from time to time they would look outside, would see the moon. Still there, they would say. Good. When winter ended, spring would come, snow would melt, flowers would bloom, lambs would be born, and the moon would start to appear brighter, more alive, as if he too was renewing. Grandfather Moon is happy, they would say. Bringing spring makes him happy. Spring's first full moon was given a special name, Green Moon, or Lamb's Moon. On that full moon, a big festival would be held. Everyone would gather. Food would be made. Dancing would happen. Songs would be sung. And the shaman would come forward, pray in thanksgiving to Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon, we survived the winter, thanks to you. Now spring has come. New life has come. We thank you. Everyone would look at the moon silently and would thank from within. When summer came, the moon would stay a bit more in the background, because summer's real star was the sun. Hot, bright, powerful sun. But Grandfather Moon still wouldn't be forgotten. On summer nights, hot nights, people would sleep outside. Inside the tent would be too hot. They would go outside, spread their felts, lie under the stars, and the moon's light would cover them like a soft, cool blanket. Grandfather Moon is cooling us, they would say. When autumn came, harvest time would come. Grains would be cut, fruits would be gathered, winter preparations would be made, and autumn's full moon was also given a special name, Harvest Moon. On that full moon, people would work in the fields until late hours. Because the moon illuminated, they could even work at night. Grandfather Moon is helping us, they would say, giving light so we can work. And when the harvest was finished, a Thanksgiving ceremony would be performed. The shaman would offer the first cut grains to the moon, symbolically, would lift them to the sky. Grandfather Moon, we cut by your light. We planted by your timing. We offer you the first produce. And so the year would turn. Seasons would turn. And Grandfather Moon would watch them all, would govern them all, but silently, modestly, without show. Grandfather Moon and war. We must also mention war, because the ancient Turks, unfortunately, also waged war. There would be conflicts between tribes, land disputes, animal thefts, vendettas. War was sometimes unavoidable. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon also played a role in war. But how? Wasn't Grandfather Moon a peaceful god? Yes, he was. But he was also impartial, balanced. When wartime came, commanders would look at the moon. When should we attack? If it was a full moon night, it was a good time, because it was bright. They could see the enemy, could set ambushes, but at the same time, the enemy could see them too. There was risk. If it was a dark night, a new moon night, this could also be good. Secrecy advantage. But moving in the dark was hard. They could get lost, could shoot each other. So the best time was half-moon nights. Neither too dark nor too bright. Balance. Grandfather Moon was the god of balance, always showed balance. Before war, the shaman would perform a ceremony, would request victory from Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon, we are the righteous side. The enemy wronged us. Help us. But an interesting thing, the enemy side would also perform the same ceremony. They too would pray to Grandfather Moon. So whom would Grandfather Moon help? No one, and everyone. Grandfather Moon wouldn't take sides. He would just give his light to both sides, equally. The decision is yours, he would whisper. I only watch. The righteous will win. The strong will win. I don't interfere. Was this fair? Maybe. Maybe not. But this was Grandfather Moon's philosophy. When the war ended, the winning side would offer thanks to Grandfather Moon. We won. Your blessing was upon us. The losing side would also turn to Grandfather Moon. We lost, but you didn't forget us. Your light was still upon us. The mistake must be ours. Neither side would blame Grandfather Moon, because Grandfather Moon was thought to be innocent. He just showed time, illuminated the night. People made their own decisions. But one thing, the souls of soldiers who died in war. They too would become stars, remember? And Grandfather Moon would gather those souls too, would look after them too. You died in war, he would say. You fought bravely. Now rest in the sky. He would treat enemy soldiers the same way, because Grandfather Moon wouldn't discriminate. You're all human, he would say. You're all my children. The war is over. Now there's peace. There was peace in the sky, even if there was war on earth. Grandfather Moon and music. The ancient Turks loved music very much. They had an instrument called kopuz, a stringed instrument, like a guitar but simpler. They would sing songs, would tell epics, and at night music sounded more beautiful. Why? Under Grandfather Moon's light, sounds would be heard more clearly. The echo would be more beautiful. Bards, that is, singers, would especially perform on full moon nights. The tribe would gather, sit around the fire. The bard would come forward, take his kopuz in hand, and start playing. Songs were usually heroism stories, or love stories, or praises to Tengri, Mother Earth, Grandfather Moon. There were many songs written to Grandfather Moon. Here's one. Grandfather Moon, silver-lighted, night guardian, guide. You are our grandfather. You are our protector. Let your light shine upon us. Let our path be bright. Let our dreams be peaceful. Simple words, but deep meanings. When the bard sang this song, everyone would listen silently. Some would cry, because it would be emotional. Grandfather Moon, from afar, would listen, and perhaps he too would be moved, because music is the language of souls. Words transcend boundaries. Music goes straight to the heart. Did Grandfather Moon have a heart? No one knew, but he felt. It was believed he had feelings. Music wasn't just entertainment. It was worship. It was healing. It was connection. People would reach Grandfather Moon through music, like the shaman playing the drum in ceremonies. The drum's rhythm would trigger the trance state. Music's rhythm would be in harmony with the moon's cycle. Slow, repetitive, hypnotic. Boom, 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 boom. Like a heartbeat, like the moon's pulse. The listening person would be captivated by that rhythm. Their eyes would close, would start dreaming. And in their dream, they would see Grandfather Moon. Welcome, Grandfather Moon would say. Your music called me. What do you want? And the person in their dream would talk with Grandfather Moon, would ask questions, would receive answers. When they woke in the morning, they would remember everything and would apply those answers to their life. Music was a bridge between the world and the sky. Grandfather Moon was at the other end of that bridge, always waiting, always listening. We've taken a long journey. We've wandered in Grandfather Moon's world. Now, let's rest a bit. Are your eyes heavy? Very heavy? Let them close. Don't struggle. Grandfather Moon is with you, protecting you. His light is upon you. You're at peace. You're safe. The story will continue. But if you sleep, it's okay. Grandfather Moon will tell you the rest in your dreams. Come on. Breathe. Relax. Grandfather Moon and wisdom. Grandfather Moon wasn't just a light source. He was also a sage. He had watched from the sky for thousands of years, had seen thousands of people, had witnessed thousands of events. This had made him wise, very wise. When people were in difficult situations, they would ask advice from Grandfather Moon. But Grandfather Moon wouldn't speak, would only give signs. A person, for example, about to make an important decision. Should I make an alliance with this tribe or with the other? At night, they would look at the moon, would pray. Grandfather Moon, guide me. Then they would wait to dream. Because Grandfather Moon would speak in dreams, the dream would come. Maybe they would see a wolf, maybe an eagle, maybe a river. Every symbol had a meaning. Wolf, power, loyalty, family. Eagle, freedom, height, vision. River, flow, change, journey. The person would tell their dream to the elders. They would interpret. If you saw a wolf, stay with family. Make an alliance, but be careful. If you saw an eagle, stay free. Don't bind yourself to anyone. If you saw a river, change is needed. Enter a new path. Grandfather Moon would guide this way, indirectly, but effectively. Wisdom wasn't just knowledge. Wisdom was knowing the right thing at the right time. Grandfather Moon knew time, the time of everything. Everything has its time, Grandfather Moon would say in stories. Time to plant, time to harvest. Time for war, time for peace. Time to speak, time to be silent. Understanding this was wisdom. The ancient Turks had a proverb. He who rushes hasn't learned Grandfather Moon's lesson. Because Grandfather Moon didn't rush. Slowly, gradually, he would change. From crescent to full moon. From full moon to crescent. Wouldn't become full suddenly. Wouldn't fade suddenly. Everything was step by step. People should be the same way. Patient, gradual, unhurried, but at the same time determined. Because Grandfather Moon would rise every night. Every night would journey through the sky, would never fail. This was also a lesson. Determination, consistency. Be like Grandfather Moon, they would say. Slow but determined, quiet but strong, humble but unwavering. This was a life philosophy. Many people had adopted this philosophy. Sages, elders, shamans. They all taught Grandfather Moon's lessons to the young. And the young, at first, wouldn't understand. What does the moon have to do with my life? But as they aged, they would understand. Ah, yes. Grandfather Moon was right. Everything has its time. You must be patient. Grandfather Moon and sorrow. When you look at the moon, do you feel sad? Many people do. Why? Maybe the moon's loneliness, alone in the sky, far away. Maybe the moon's silence, never makes a sound, just gives light. Maybe the moon's change, constantly loses itself, finds itself again. Cycle. The ancient Turks also felt the moon's sorrow. Grandfather Moon looks sad, they would say some nights. Why would Grandfather Moon be sad? He has everything, safe in the sky, immortal. But he used to be human, remember? Once he lived on the earth. Did he miss his family, his friends, his tribe? Yes. Definitely yes. According to stories, every night Grandfather Moon would watch the world from the sky and would see that everything is changing. The people he loved were aging, dying. New people were being born. He didn't know them. Tents were moving to other places. Tribes were dispersing, new ones forming. Nothing stayed the same, only he stayed the same, unchanged, in the sky. This gave him sorrow. Ah, he would sigh. I wish I could be on the earth again. I wish I could talk to people. I wish. But there was nothing to be done. Tengri had given him this duty, and he had accepted. Duty sometimes required sacrifice of personal happiness. Grandfather Moon had given up his own happiness to protect people. This made him noble. Tragic, but noble. When people understood this, they respected Grandfather Moon even more. He made a sacrifice for us, they said. We must show him respect. And on sorrowful nights, people would look at the moon, send him support from within. You're not alone, Grandfather Moon. We're here. We see you. We love you. Grandfather Moon perhaps would hear these whispers, and perhaps his sorrow would lighten a bit. Thank you, he would whisper. Seeing you makes me happy. I'm not alone. You exist. Sorrow sometimes is beautiful, because sorrow creates connection. Sorrow is empathy. Sorrow is love. Grandfather Moon's sorrow made him more human, more approachable, more lovable. Grandfather Moon and the modern world. Now, for a moment, let's jump to the future. Turkish tribes no longer exist. Nomadism has ended. People live in cities, in skyscrapers, in apartments. Is Grandfather Moon still there? Yes. Of course yes. The moon hasn't changed. People changed. The world changed. But the moon is still in the sky, still continuing its cycle, still giving light. Do modern people look at the moon? Not as much as before, because in cities there's light pollution. The moon sometimes can't be seen. And people are busy, looking at their phones, looking at their screens, forgetting the sky. But sometimes someone stops, lifts their head, looks at the sky, and sees the moon. Ah, they say, the moon, how beautiful. And for a moment, that modern person feels like an ancient Turkish nomad, makes a connection, transcends time. Grandfather Moon was there thousands of years ago. Is there now, will be there in the future. Isn't this comforting? Everything can change. Technology can advance, cultures can change, languages can be forgotten. But the moon remains, fixed, unchanging. And Grandfather Moon's story, his spirit, still lives. Maybe people forgot his name. Maybe the ceremonies are no longer performed. Maybe shamans no longer exist. But everyone, when they look at the moon, feels something inside. Peace, nostalgia, connection, mystery. That's Grandfather Moon. Doesn't need words, doesn't need temples, doesn't need ceremonies. Just his light is enough. Just his presence is enough. Right now, as you're lying in your bed, maybe the moon is visible from your window. Maybe you don't see it. But it's there. You know it's there. And Grandfather Moon is watching you. Just like he watched that Turkish nomad thousands of years ago. You're not different. You have technology, yes. But, in essence, you're also human. You need sleep. You need peace. You need connection. Grandfather Moon knows this, and gives it to you. With his light, with his presence, with his silent love. We're almost at the end. But there's no hurry. Never any hurry. Is your body very heavy? Have your eyes closed? Good. Very good. Grandfather Moon is with you. Always with you. One more story, then we'll finish. But comfortably. Slowly. Breathe. Final story. The Forgotten Shaman. Very, very long ago. Maybe 1,000 years ago, maybe more. There was an old shaman. No one remembers his name anymore. But let's call him the last shaman. This shaman was his tribe's last shaman. Young shamans weren't being trained anymore, because people were changing. New beliefs were coming. Islam was coming. Christianity was coming. The old ways were being forgotten. The last shaman had lived through many seasons. He had been young once, strong once. His voice had been powerful when he sang the sacred songs. His drum had echoed across the steppes, calling the spirits. His eyes had been sharp, seeing things others couldn't see. But now he was old. His hands trembled, his voice cracked, his eyes were clouded with age. Yet his spirit was still strong. His connection to Grandfather Moon, to Tengri, to the spirits, that had never weakened. He watched his people change, slowly at first, then faster. They stopped hanging silver coins outside their tents. They stopped praying to the moon on the full moon nights. They stopped asking him to perform the old ceremonies. "We have new prayers now," they would say. "New ways, the old ways. We don't need them anymore." The last shaman would nod, would say nothing. What could he say? Time was a river, flowing forward. You couldn't stop it. You couldn't turn it back. But in his heart, he grieved. Not for himself. He had lived a long life, a good life. He had served his purpose. He grieved for the stories that would be lost, for the wisdom that would die with him, for the connection to the ancient spirits that would be severed. One day, a young boy came to him, maybe 10 years old, curious eyes, bright. "Grandfather Shaman," the boy said. "My father says the old ways are dying. Is this true?" The last shaman looked at the boy for a long time, then smiled. "Yes, child, the old ways are dying." "Why?" "Because everything dies, everything changes. This is the way of the world. This is the cycle." "But aren't you sad?" The last shaman thought about this. "Yes, I am sad, but I'm also grateful." "Grateful? Why?" "Because I lived in a time when the old ways were alive. I spoke with the spirits. I danced under Grandfather Moon's light. I saw wonders you will never see, and for that, I am grateful." The boy was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Will anyone remember after you're gone?" "I don't know," said the last shaman honestly. "Maybe not. Maybe the names will be forgotten, the ceremonies forgotten. But what? But the truth will remain, even if the names change, even if the ceremonies change. The moon will still rise, the stars will still shine, and people will still look up and feel something, a connection, a wonder that will never die." The boy nodded, though he didn't fully understand. "Go now," said the last shaman gently. "Live your life. Follow your new ways. But sometimes look at the moon. And remember that once, long ago, people spoke to it, and it spoke back." The boy left. The last shaman never saw him again. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The last shaman grew weaker. He knew his time was coming. He could feel it in his bones, in his breath, in the way the wind spoke to him. "Soon," the wind whispered. "Soon." He didn't fear death. How could he? He had walked in the spirit realm many times. He had seen what lay beyond. Death was just another journey, another transformation. But before he went, he wanted to say goodbye. To Grandfather Moon, to the old spirits, to the ancient ways. So one night, the night we've been telling you about, when the full moon rose, he left his tent. His tribe was asleep. No one saw him go. He walked slowly, painfully out into the steppe, away from the tents, away from the people, to a place of silence and solitude. There was a large rock there, flat on top. He had been to this rock many times in his life, had performed ceremonies here, had prayed here, had taught young shamans here. Now he climbed it one last time. His old body protested. His joints ached, but he made it to the top and sat and looked up. The moon was magnificent, full and bright, silver light washing over everything. The step looked like an ocean of light, beautiful, peaceful. "Hello, old friend," said the last shaman to the moon. The moon didn't answer. Not yet. The last shaman sat in silence for a while, breathing, remembering. He remembered his first ceremony. He had been so young, so nervous, afraid he would fail. But Grandfather Moon had been there, had given him light, had given him confidence. He remembered the birth he had helped, a difficult birth, the mother crying, the baby stuck. He had prayed to Grandfather Moon, had entered the trance, had asked the spirits for help, and the baby had come. Healthy, strong. The mother had survived. "Thank you, Grandfather Moon," she had whispered. He remembered the war, the terrible war. So many had died. Bodies on the step, blood on the grass. He had gone to each fallen warrior, had prayed for their souls, had asked Grandfather Moon to take them, to make them stars. And on that night, after the war, the sky had been full of new stars. So many. The whole tribe had wept, looking up. He remembered the droughts, the harsh winters, the plagues, the famines. Through it all, Grandfather Moon had been there, watching, silent, faithful. "I've had a good life," the last shaman said aloud now, "because of you, because you were always there." Still, the moon was silent. "But now," the last shaman's voice cracked, "now I'm the last. After me, there will be no one. No one to perform the ceremonies, no one to pray the old prayers, no one to remember your stories." He felt the tears on his cheeks. Old man tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm sorry I couldn't preserve it, couldn't pass it on. The young people, they don't want to learn. They want the new ways. And I can't blame them. The world is changing. But still, I'm sorry." And then, the moon's light brightened, just a little, but enough to notice. The last shaman looked up, startled, and he felt it, that old familiar feeling, the thinning of the veil between worlds, the opening of the door. His spirit began to lift from his body, not all the way, just hovering, between earth and sky, and there, in that in-between place, he saw him, Grandfather Moon, not the celestial body, but the spirit, the being, an old man, just as the stories said, silver white hair, long beard, eyes deep as time itself. He was sitting on his silver chariot, pulled by 3 white deer, but the chariot had stopped, hovering in the air before the last shaman. "Hello, old friend," said Grandfather Moon, and his voice was like wind over water, gentle, ancient. The last shaman couldn't speak, could only stare. "You called me," said Grandfather Moon, "with your sorrow, with your love, and so I came." I didn't think," stammered the last shaman. "You thought I wouldn't hear?" Grandfather Moon smiled, that sad, knowing smile. "I always hear. Every prayer, every whisper, every tear, I hear them all." "Then you know," said the last shaman. "You know what I fear. Yes, you fear I'll be forgotten. Won't you be?" Grandfather Moon was quiet for a moment. The deer shifted, their crystal antlers chiming softly. "Tell me," said Grandfather Moon, "what am I?" The last shaman blinked, confused. "You're Grandfather Moon, Ay Dede, guardian of the night, keeper of time, protector of—" "Those are names," interrupted Grandfather Moon gently. "Titles. But what am I really, in essence?" the last shaman thought deeply, then slowly said, "You're a presence, a comfort, a feeling of being watched over, protected. Not alone. Yes, said Grandfather Moon, pleased. Exactly. And tell me, does that need a name? I don't understand. My child, said Grandfather Moon, leaning forward, people have called me many names. Before the Turks, other people. They called me different things, worshipped me in different ways. And after the Turks, there will be others, with new names, new stories. But the essence remains. I am still here. The moon still rises. People still look up and feel something. They feel less alone. They feel watched over. They feel connected to something larger than themselves. The last shaman began to understand. The names change, continued Grandfather Moon. The stories change. The ceremonies change. But the truth never changes. I am here. I have always been here. I will always be here. So, I didn't fail? Fail? Grandfather Moon laughed, a sound like distant bells. Oh, my dear friend, you didn't fail. You served beautifully. You kept the old ways alive as long as they needed to be alive. And now they will sleep. But sleep is not death. Sleep is rest. And one day, perhaps, they will wake again. Or perhaps new ways will grow from their seeds. Either way, the cycle continues. The last shaman felt a weight lift from his heart, a weight he'd been carrying for years. You're not upset, he asked, that people will forget your name? Names are temporary, said Grandfather Moon. Love is eternal, and people will always love the moon. They may not know why, may not know the stories, but they'll look up and feel peace, feel wonder, feel hope. That's all that matters. I wish I could tell them, said the last shaman, the young people. I wish I could make them understand. Some things can't be taught, said Grandfather Moon, only experienced. They'll find their own way to me, in their own time. The last shaman nodded slowly, then asked, What about me? What happens now? Grandfather Moon smiled. Now? Now you come with me. Your body is tired. Your work is done. It's time to rest. Will I become a star? Yes, a bright star. Right here. Grandfather Moon pointed to a spot near his face. So you can always see me, and I can always see you. And together we'll watch over your people, the old ones, the new ones, all of them. That sounds nice, said the last shaman, and he realized he was smiling. Yes, that sounds very nice. Are you ready? The last shaman looked back at his body sitting on the rock, old, worn, used up, then looked at the steppe, his home, his beloved steppe, then looked at the sky, the stars, the moon. Yes, he said, I'm ready. Then come, said Grandfather Moon, extending his hand. Let's go home. The last shaman took the hand. It was warm, solid, real, and together they rose, up, up, up into the sky. The last shaman looked down, saw his body on the rock, peaceful, smiling. Will they find me? He asked. In the morning, said Grandfather Moon, and they'll say you died peacefully, which is true. Will they mourn? Some will, the old ones especially. They'll remember what you meant, what you preserved, and that's enough. They rose higher. The steppe grew small below, the tents like specks, the world like a painting. And then, a transformation. The last shaman felt himself changing, becoming lighter, brighter, less solid, more luminous. Don't be afraid, said Grandfather Moon. This is natural. You're becoming a star, a soul of light. It doesn't hurt, said the last shaman, surprised. Why would it hurt? You're going home. And suddenly they were among the stars. Millions of them, billions, each one a soul, each one a story. Some were bright, newly arrived, some were dim, ancient. but all were there, all were together. "Welcome," they whispered. "Welcome, brother." "You see," said Grandfather Moon, "you're not the last. Look, here are all the shamans who came before you, all the wise ones, all the teachers. They're all here, waiting for you." And the last shaman saw them, faces he recognized, shamans he'd learned from, elders who'd taught him, friends long dead. "You came," they said. "We've been waiting." Tears of joy streamed down the last shaman's luminous face. "I'm home," he whispered. "I'm really home." "Yes," said Grandfather Moon, "and from here you'll watch. You'll see your people grow, change, evolve. You'll see them forget the old ways, yes, but you'll also see them remember in their own way. You'll see them look at the moon and feel wonder, feel peace, and you'll know the connection never died. It only changed form." "Thank you," said the last shaman. "Thank you, Grandfather Moon." "No," said Grandfather Moon. "Thank you for your service, for your love, for your dedication. You were a good shaman, a faithful friend. And now you're a star, forever." And with that, Grandfather Moon placed the last shaman in his spot, right there near the moon's face, close enough to always see, close enough to always be together. The last shaman, now the newest star, shone brightly, brilliantly, joyfully. And every night, from then on, if you looked carefully at the full moon, you could see it. That bright star right beside Grandfather Moon, the last shaman, watching, waiting, loving, forever. The bridge between worlds now. We've told you many stories, many lessons. We've traveled far through time and space. But before we rest, there's one more thing to understand, one more truth to grasp. You see, this story, Grandfather Moon's story, isn't just about the past. It's not just ancient mythology, dusty tales from forgotten peoples. No, this story is also about you, right now, in this moment, because Grandfather Moon is still there, and you are here, and the connection, the bridge between worlds, is still open. Let me explain. The ancient Turks, they understood something we've forgotten in the modern world. They understood that everything is connected. Earth and sky, human and spirit, past and present. They didn't separate things the way we do. Didn't say, this is real, this is myth. Didn't say, this is science, this is superstition. For them, it was all one, all woven together, all true in different ways. And Grandfather Moon was the bridge, the connection point, the meeting place between the earthly and the divine. When a shaman looked at the moon, they weren't just seeing a celestial body. They were seeing a doorway, a pathway, a bridge to the spirit realm. When a mother prayed to the moon for her sick child, she wasn't just speaking to empty space. She was reaching out across the bridge, touching something real, something that listened, something that cared. When a warrior looked at the moon before battle, seeking courage, he was drawing strength from across the bridge. Real strength, real courage. The bridge was always there, always open, always available. But then, the world changed. The old ways faded. New beliefs came. And slowly, gradually, people forgot about the bridge. They stopped looking for it, stopped believing in it, stopped crossing it. But here's the secret. The bridge never left. It's still there. Right now. Tonight. You just have to remember how to see it. Close your eyes for a moment. No, actually, close them. Just for a few seconds. In the darkness behind your eyelids, imagine the moon. See it clearly. That silver-white glow. That gentle, watching presence. Now imagine a light connecting your heart to the moon. A thin silver thread. Can you feel it? Can you sense it? That's the bridge. That's the connection. It was always there. You just forgot to look for it. In our modern world, we've become so focused on what we can see, touch, measure. We trust screens more than stars. We believe in data more than dreams. And we've lost something. A sense of wonder, a sense of connection, a sense of being part of something larger, older, deeper. But Grandfather Moon remembers. He remembers when humans looked up in awe, when they felt small but not insignificant, when they understood they were part of a vast, cosmic story. And he waits, patiently, every night, for people to remember, for people to look up, for people to cross the bridge again. You don't need to be a shaman, don't need to perform ancient rituals, don't need to speak Old Turkish or know the traditional prayers. You just need to look. To really look, to see not just a moon, but the moon, not just light, but presence. Let me tell you something true. Every time you look at the moon and feel something, peace, wonder, nostalgia, comfort, that's Grandfather Moon reaching back to you. That's the bridge connecting. Every time you can't sleep and you look out the window and see the moon and feel a little less alone, that's him. Watching, caring, being there. Every time you're far from home and you look up and see the moon and remember that your loved ones see the same moon, that's his gift. Connection across distance, unity across separation. The bridge is always there. We just need to use it. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to believe in Grandfather Moon as a literal being, as a god or spirit or entity. You can see him as a symbol, as a metaphor, as a representation of nature's constancy, or time's passage, or the comfort of the eternal cycle. Doesn't matter. The bridge works either way, because the bridge isn't about religion, isn't about mythology. It's about connection. It's about remembering that we're part of something larger than ourselves, something ancient, something ongoing. Think about this. The moon you see tonight is the same moon the ancient Turks saw, the same moon your great-great-great-grandparents saw, the same moon that will shine on your great-great-great-grandchildren. That's the bridge, across time, across generations, across all the changes and transformations and evolutions of human civilization. Constant, faithful, unchanging. In a world where everything feels temporary, where relationships end, where jobs change, where homes are left behind, where everything feels fragile and uncertain, the moon remains. That's Grandfather Moon's gift. That's what he offers. Not magic, not miracles, just presence, reliability, a reminder that some things endure. So tonight, after this story ends, after you drift off to sleep, maybe tomorrow or the next night, take a moment, go to your window, or step outside, or just look through the glass. Find the moon, and remember, you're looking at the same thing countless humans have looked at for thousands of years. Across cultures, across continents, across time. You're part of an ancient tradition. The tradition of looking up, of wondering, of feeling connected to the cosmos. You're crossing the bridge, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not. And on the other side of that bridge, Grandfather Moon sees you, knows you, welcomes you. "Hello, child," he says. "I've been waiting. I'm glad you came. This is not fantasy. This is not escapism. This is remembering, reconnecting, coming home to something we never actually left, just forgot we had." The ancient Turks knew this. They lived this. And they weren't more spiritual than us, weren't more enlightened. they just remembered to look up. We can too. We can rebuild the bridge in our own hearts, in our own way, with our own understanding. Maybe for you, Grandfather Moon is a literal spiritual being. Maybe he's a metaphor for nature's rhythms. Maybe he's just a beautiful thing to look at that makes you feel peaceful. All of these are valid. All of these are true. All of these use the bridge. Because the bridge isn't about what you believe. It's about connection. And connection is real, no matter what form it takes. So use the bridge. Cross it when you need comfort. Cross it when you need wisdom. Cross it when you feel alone. Look at the moon and know you're seen. You're part of the story. You're connected to something eternal. That's Grandfather Moon's real gift. Not the old ceremonies, not the ancient names, but the connection itself, the bridge itself. And it's always there, always open, always waiting. For you, for everyone, for all time. Now we're truly ready to rest. We've traveled far, learned much, connected deeply. Let's finish with Grandfather Moon's final message. Grandfather Moon's message. Grandfather Moon has a message for us, always has, never changed. The message is simple. I'm here, always here. You're not alone. That's it. Not complicated, not philosophy, just a comfort, a promise. When life gets difficult, look at the moon, still there. When you're lost, look at the moon, we'll guide. When you're sad, look at the moon, we'll show understanding. When you're happy, look at the moon, we'll be happy with you. Grandfather Moon doesn't judge. Grandfather Moon doesn't get angry. Grandfather Moon doesn't abandon, just is there, silently, faithfully, forever. Isn't this the greatest gift? Knowledge changes, technology advances, beliefs transform, but the moon remains. Every night, every month, every year. Thousands of years ago, what that first human felt when they looked at the moon, you feel the same. Wonder, curiosity, peace, connection. That's Grandfather Moon's power. Transcends time, transcends culture, transcends language. Universal, eternal, unchanging. We talked a lot about cycles. Now, let's think again. The moon's cycle. Waning, growing, waxing, shrinking, waning. Again and again and again. Never ends. Infinite cycle. Is this imprisonment or freedom? Perhaps both. Cycle means predictability. You know what will happen tomorrow. The moon will renew, then will wax, then will renew again. This gives confidence, gives peace. But cycle also means repetition, experiencing the same things again and again. This can be boring, can be suffocating. But Grandfather Moon thinks like this. Every cycle isn't the same. Every renewal is different. Because I'm different. The world is different. People are different. No moment is the same moment. This is deep wisdom. Yes, the moon renews every month. But that renewal is a bit different each time. Sometimes there are clouds. Sometimes clear sky. Sometimes there's wind. Sometimes silence. Every moment is unique. You're the same way. Every night you go to bed. Every night you sleep. Cycle. But every night is different. Every dream is different. Every morning is different. Within the cycle, there's infinite variety. That's life's secret. Grandfather Moon teaches us this. Accept the cycle, but be free within the cycle. Every renewal, a chance. Every full moon, a celebration. Every night, an adventure. Not monotonous. Rich. We talked a lot, told many stories, learned many lessons. Now the time has come. Sleep time. Grandfather Moon is ready, in the sky, waiting for you. Close your eyes. Don't worry, everything is fine. Your body is heavy, very heavy, sinking into the pillow. The blanket is warm, comfortable. You're breathing. Slowly. In, out. In, out. Outside, maybe the wind is blowing, maybe it's raining, maybe there's silence. Doesn't matter. You're safe. You're inside. And Grandfather Moon. Grandfather Moon is outside, in the sky, protecting you. His light is seeping through the window, maybe. A faint silver light. Soft. Warm. Feel that light. On you. On your face. On your hands. Grandfather Moon's touch. Gentle. Compassionate. Good night, says Grandfather Moon. Sleep peacefully. Dream beautiful dreams. I'll be here again in the morning. Don't worry. You answer too. From within. Good night, Grandfather Moon. Thank you. And you let yourself go. To sleep. To dreams. To darkness. But the darkness isn't frightening. Because Grandfather Moon's light is there. Always there. Maybe you wake up at night. Half asleep. To drink water. Or to go to the bathroom. You look out the window. The moon is still there. Ah, you say. Still there. And you lie down again. Comfortably. Because you know. Grandfather Moon is watching you. You sleep again. Deeper this time. More peacefully. You dream. Strange dreams. Beautiful dreams. Maybe you see the step. Ancient times. The tents. The fire. Maybe you see Grandfather Moon. An old man. Smiling. Waving to you. Welcome, he says. I missed you. I missed you too, you say. But without words. Just feeling. Just connection. You sit together, silently, looking at the sky. Stars are shining. Millions. Infinite. All are souls of the dead, says Grandfather Moon. All are here. No one is lost. All in the sky. With me. You look too, and you see familiar faces. Maybe your grandfather's face. Maybe your grandmother's. Maybe a friend's. They're all smiling. Hello, they say. Don't worry. We're fine. You want to cry, but your tears are happy tears. Thank you, Grandfather Moon, you say, for showing them. They're always here, says Grandfather Moon. You just need to look at the sky. Then the dream blurs, slowly fades, but peace remains. Peace always remains. Night progresses. Hours pass. You're in deep sleep. Grandfather Moon continues his journey through the sky, from east to west. Slowly, not hurrying. Why would he? Time is abundant, has infinite time. Stars are starting to fade, slightly, because dawn is approaching. Mother Sun is coming. Shift change. Grandfather Moon isn't tired, never gets tired, but his time has come. Time to retreat. Good morning, my sibling, says Mother Sun from afar. Good morning, says Grandfather Moon. I had a good night. I watched the people, protected them. Now it's my turn, says Mother Sun. You rest. We'll meet again tomorrow night. Yes, says Grandfather Moon. We always meet. Always. And Grandfather Moon slowly descends toward the horizon. Disappears, but doesn't vanish. Just resting. On the other side of the day. On the other side of the sky. Always there. Even if not visible. You too will wake in the morning. Will open your eyes. Will see the sunlight. Good morning, you'll say. And maybe you'll remember that you saw Grandfather Moon at night, in a dream. Or maybe you won't remember. Doesn't matter. Grandfather Moon was there, was with you, and when night comes, he'll be there again. Every night. Always. Our story ends here. But Grandfather Moon's story never ends. Because Grandfather Moon is an endless story. A cyclical story. No beginning, no end. Just continues. You're part of this story. I'm part. Everyone is part. Those who lived in the past. Those living now. Those who will live in the future. We're all in Grandfather Moon's sky. All under his protection. Isn't this comforting? Isn't this beautiful? You're not alone. Never were, never will be. Grandfather Moon is with you. every night, every moment. Just look out the window. Just look at the sky. There, his silver light, his soft smile. "Hello," he says. "I see you. I love you." And you say too, "Hello, Grandfather Moon. I see you too. I love you too." That's all. Simple, deep, eternal. Grandfather Moon, night guardian, timekeeper, master of cycles, silent grandfather, silver grandfather, peace giver. Now sleep. Sleep comfortably. Grandfather Moon is watching you, always watching. Good night. Stay in peace. Beautiful dreams. In Grandfather Moon's arms. In silver light. In infinite cycle. Sleep, sleep, sleep. The moon is shining. Stars are shining. You're sleeping. Peace. Silence. Infinity. Grandfather Moon.